completed your bachelor's and master's and now looking to apply for any kind of job in a research lab or industry, that is biotech industry, so the ultimate requirement will be that you need to update your CV. And suppose if you have updated your CV, but now if you are disqualified from your interview and you are not selected for that particular job openings, then what are the reasons that your CV is getting rejected here? So today we are going to talk about why your CV is getting rejected. And here I've listed 10 main reasons, or you can say top reasons why your CV get rejected at the time of shortlisting. So let's see all these points and that you need to update in your resume and that you need to take care of while you are updating your CV. So let's start with the very first point, that is here about grammatical and spelling mistakes. So whenever you are writing something in your resume, you are updating your resume, that time you need to take care about your grammatical and spelling mistakes. So suppose if you are writing something and if you're not very confident about that English language, so it's very important to grammarly check, and you can use some kind of tool that is grammarly check and to avoid all that grammatical mistakes whatever you are writing. And once you are done with your you can say CV and you have updated edited it, so once you need to, you can say, cross check that if any kind of spelling mistake is there, because you have not done that spelling mistake, you might be knowing that correct spelling, but might be due to in a hurry, or you wanted to send that resume to HR, you wanted to send that mail, so some spelling mistakes can happen. So if you are doing that, so that reflects your candidature. So we are sending our CV to get selected for any job opening, and suppose if there is any kind of a spelling mistake or grammatical mistake, so that is going to spoil your candidature. So ultimately it is going to reflect your candidature. So that time you need to be very clear about all these things, that there should be no grammatical as well as spelling mistakes. Also helps to get you an interview. So all this CV will help you to get into an interview, will help you to get selected for that particular job opening. So better you should check that grammatical mistakes, and also if there is any kind of spelling mistakes in your CV. So once you are done, you need to cross check multiple times once it is done. So once you are done, you need to cross check it. You need to check again and again. You have to read it very loud, so that if any kind of mistake is there, you can come across that mistake and you need to clarify and you need to update all those mistakes that you are finding in resume. The second is job listings and incorrect date. So once you are updating your resume, you have to mention the accurate date. So suppose if you are, you can say, if you are joining any kind of research lab for your PhD, before that what you have done, your research experience, everything where you have done major dissertation, minor dissertation, it was for what life, you can say, time span, whether it was for 3 months, 6 months, so you have to mention everything accurately. So job listings, if you have done any kind of research, or if you are having research experience, so you have to mention that research experience, that is job listing. You have to list that job, means you have to list the exact date, year when you have started that job and when you finished the job. So you need to mention the accurate date. So means you need to mention the correct start and finish date, when you started that job and when you finished. Mentioning month and year will work. Suppose if you are not willing to write the exact date that you joined the job on October 1st 2018, like this, if you don't want to mention, so you can just write that October 2018 to January 2022. So like this you can mention all these kind of experience that you are having. So better to mention the accurate date, so that recruiter or interviewer may know about all the job experience or research experience or any kind of company experience that you are having before. So this is about the second point, that you need to take care of all these things, that is mentioning the correct date, means you don't have to hide anything from the recruiter. You have to mention the accurate date and month where you have worked and for what time span you have worked for. The third is alignment and formatting. So it is very important to check the correct alignment. So once you are writing everything, it's not like you are, or you can say, you are updating your CV and you have to make it to 2 pages. Not like that. Quality really matters. So you have to take care of the quality. You have to see the alignment, whether it is right, left, or you can say that is center alignment. So you have to see, you have to keep all the alignment, whatever you are writing, you have to keep the same alignment, whether it is right or center. So accordingly you have to write everything in your CV. The second is font style as well as font type. So make sure that you are using the simple font style, that is, it's not like it's too cursive and all. So you need to be like very careful while choosing all these font style and font type. So better you use Arial, Calibri as well as Times New Roman. And font size will be, or you can say you can keep it to 10. It should not be that small or that large key. If you are keeping it too large, so what will happen, it will occupy whole space in a resume. So you should be very aware that you are choosing 10 size. That will be, you can say, it will be carefully read by the interviewer or recruiter. So they should not face any kind of difficulty if it is too hard, or you can say too long or too short. So you need to take care of all these font style as well as font type. Third is paragraph and line spacing. So some students, they what they will do, suppose if they don't have any kind of research experience, they're not having major trainings and minor trainings, so they will just create paragraphs in between, just to just to complete all their text in 2 pages. So it's not like that. I already mentioned quality matters, so you need to take care of about paragraph and line spacing. So it should not be more than 1 or 1.15. So you can keep it to line spacing 1 or 1.15, both will work. Heading and subheading. So you need to clearly write that you are writing your achievements. Under achievements, you have to mention all the points. And if you're writing about qualification, you need to mention recent qualifications. So qualification is heading. Whatever you are writing inside that, it will be subheading, like MSc, BSc, and whatever you have done. Suppose if you have done MPhil, so you can write that. If you have a PhD degree, so you can mention that. So means you have to mention the most recent first. Also, if you're writing something like subheading as a subheading under that heading, so you need to take care of bullets and numbering. So make sure that you are using bullets, means it will quantify something. Suppose if you are having 6 research experience, or you can, let's talk about achievement, right? So if you are having any kind of achievement, so you will be writing 1 2 3 4 5 6. So this way you will be writing 6 line, means 6 points. But if you're not using bullets and numbering, so that is not going to quantify that, right? So you have to clearly write your achievements, and you can say whatever you have done. If you're writing only for achievements, just you have mentioned achievements, then you have to mention 6 points, whatever you have achieved in your past. And here you have to use bullets and numbering. Suppose if you are mentioning number 1, 2, 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. So in this way, it is going to quantify. So recruiter will be attracted towards this, that you are having 6 achievements. If not, so you can use bullets and numbering. So this is all about alignment and formatting that you need to take care while you are writing and editing something in your resume. The fourth is overloaded with information. It should not like that your resume is overloaded with information. You should not write everything in your CV or resume. You should need to be very precise, concise while you are writing anything. Suppose if you are mentioning your qualification, you just have to write MSc biotechnology. इस ईयर में किया with CGPA, that's all. You don't need to write everything. And if you're mentioning university name, so affiliation, you can mention that. You don't need to write everything. I completed my MSc in biotechnology from this university in this year. This is what called as overloaded information. So just you have to write the catchy keywords over there, and that will be understood to the recruiter. So too much personal information and other details should not be written there. Suppose if you are belonging to you can say any of the states, so you don't need to write, just you can write city this, you need to write state this. So just like this, you have to mention all the things in your CV. It should be precise and concise, as I've mentioned, and also it should be easy to the recruiter. That means recruiter can easily read all these things. It should not be like paragraphs you're writing there. Long gaps between text. You need to take care of the long gaps that you're including between text. I have already mentioned. You need to take care about the paragraph and line spacing. That should not be more than 1.15. If you're keeping it 1 or 1.15, that will work. relevant details like qualification, accomplishment, and any training, etc. So what you have to mention here, you have to mention the important details like what qualification you are having, what is your career objective, personal information, just 7 points: name, gender, sex, all these things you have to mention. And also you need to mention your accomplishment as well as any trainings if you have done, if you have attended any conferences, seminar. So you can just write that, you can say heading, and under that you can include your subheadings there. So this is all about the information that you need to include in your CV. Talking about the chronological order means sequence. So whenever you are writing anything, you need to mention the sequence. Sequence matlab you have to write the most recent qualification first. Suppose if you are talking about qualification, then you have to mention BSc. Suppose if you have done MSc, then comes MSc, and if you have done MPhil, then comes MPhil first, MSc, then BSc, then comes 10 plus 2, then comes 10. So this way you have to maintain the chronological order. So this is just for qualification. Suppose if you have done research in 2 to 3 labs, and if you are having research experience at that time, you should be very clear and aware of mentioning all this research experience, and you have to mention the most recent research experience first. Suppose if you have done research experience at present, and now you are joining other companies, so that time you have to mention whatever you have done at most recent time. That will be followed by the old one. So like this you have to mention your recent employment, recent qualification first. That will be followed by the older employment, or you can say achievement you are talking about, or if you are talking about your qualification. So in this way you have to mention or maintain the chronological order. This is about the chronological order. Now coming to the contact details. So once you are writing, so suppose if you are selected for this interview, that particular job openings for which you are applying, for which you are modifying your CV, so make sure you are writing the correct contact details, right? Because if you are getting shortlisted, means recruiter or interviewer, they will contact you, right? But what is the meaning of, you can say, a way of communication, a means of communication, that is through your contact number as well as email ID. So always you have to write your working contact number. It's not like you're giving your brothers or sisters contact number or mother's contact number. And if you're giving, make sure that they are always available and they are attending the calls. So if you don't have any personal contact number, you can always give your sisters, brothers, or fathers, mothers, whatever you like, but make sure they are attending their calls and they will be available whenever they are calling, right? Because if they are calling and you are not receiving the call, that will create a bad impression. So make sure they are receiving the calls. Also you should be having your active email ID, and if you have not created your email ID till now, so just now you have to create it. You have to create it today, so that that will be used for, you can say, further job openings. So you have to create your own email ID. And also once you are writing that, you have to double check everything, because they need to contact you through that interview, for that interview. So once you are shortlisted, that will be contacted through all these numbers and email ID. So you need to take care of this thing also. Align with the job role. Suppose if you are applying for a research job, right? And if they are asking about the immunological experiences, and if you're not having, so ultimately that is going to create a, you can say, some kind of bad impression. So you can say recruiter should always get attracted towards you, right? But how they will get attracted? At least if they're asking about, you can say, immunological profile, immunohistochemistry, so at least you have done facts or something related to immunology. So you have to always see that your job openings or whatever job role has come, that is aligned with your experience, means aligned with her job role. So whatever experience you are having, need to check if they are aligning with that job roles, and if they are aligning, means you are, you can say, good to go for this job, and you will be selected and shortlisted for this job. And what you have to do now, you have to prepare for that interview. But now you will be selected for the first round, right? Means you have to mention the relevant information that will be highlighted in your CV. Suppose if they are asking for immunological profile, and now you have immunological experience, so better you should highlight that immunological experience once you are sending to that particular company, because that interviewer or recruiter, they wants desirable qualification, that is immunological expertise, and that you are having, that is very good. So you make sure that you are highlighting that, so that recruiter gets attracted to it. Also if they are asking for any of the general or lab expertise, so make sure you are having at least general PCR, facts, and all these things, ELISA, protein purification, gene cloning. So all these are general technique that you should know, and also mention that with bold letters that you are having all these expertise. If all these expertise, or you can say technical skills, they are asked in the, you can say, for the job profile. And if they are asked, so you need to mention all these things with highlighter colors, or you can just bold them. So always make sure that you are writing everything with black color, Arial, Times New Roman or Calibri with 10 font size, and you have to write everything in black. It's not like you are using that bright colors, you are using red, sky blue. It's not like that. It should be always black. Be careful while you are mentioning interest and hobbies. So some students, what they will do, they will just take interest from Google and they will write everything, like reading books and listening songs. So it's not like, interest is your interest, right? So whenever you are mentioning your interest and hobbies, make sure that you are mentioning your interest, not others' interest. So that is going to be, you can say, a big point, because whenever you are appearing for your interview, that time they will cross check everything. So if you are having any kind of research skill, technical skills, any kind of interest or hobbies, only then you can mention. Otherwise you don't need to mention all these points. If you are having any one research interest or any kind of general interest, you can mention. It's not like if your friend is having that interest, so you have to mention that. No, it's not like that. So it should be really your interest, and also that is cross examined during interview, so that time you will be caught. So that, make sure that you are mentioning your interest, your hobby, and that should be really correct. The next is employment gaps. Suppose if you have done your MSc in 2018, that is long back, and now you have joined research experience, but after that you were having 1 year or 2 year gap between that. So what you will do in that case? So ultimately you have to send your resume, right? But if you're mentioning that you're having long gap, that is not going to work. Okay, so here what you have to do, you have to mention the employment gaps, but what you have to do, you have to mention years. Suppose if you have done first research experience you were having in 2018 to 2019, you can mention that. 2019 to 2020, you can mention that too. But after that you are not having any kind of research experience, but now you are applying for a job that is in 2022, so you can just mention that I was having a research experience from 2018 to 2020. So like this you can mention. You don't need to mention each and every date from first 15 16 you join. You can just mention the date, or sorry, years as well as month. And if you don't want to mention months, in that case you can mention years. But if you are having any kind of health issues, that was major health issues, and you were not able to join any of the company or research for your employment purpose, so that time you can mention that I was having this health issue, and you can explain that. So that will be accepted by the interviewer. That is, you can say, a valid reason that will be accepted by the recruiter or interviewers. In this way you can mention. And if you're not having all these kind of health issues and something, so that time you can just mention years as well as months. So if you want to mention years only, you can mention that. But if they are asking during interview, you need to be correctly, you can say, representable to the interviewer. So you need to explain everything to interviewer, why you left that job and why you are not getting this. The last is cover letter, a complement to CV. So I've mentioned many times in my video also. You can see that is difference between CV and cover letter. If you have not watched, you can watch that videos that was published. So CV is something that is going to complement your cover letter is something that is going to complement your CV, right? And CV, we are making it for 2 pages, and cover letter, it should only be 1 page. So whenever you are writing, suppose your CV is up to the mark, right? But if you are writing cover letter, so that is ultimately going to complement your CV, okay? So that should be 1 page, that should be highly attractive, and important points like it should start from your introduction, what you have done, your qualification, what research experience you are having, what technical and research expertise you are having, and ultimately why you are selecting that institute for your PhD or for that research. So this is what called as cover letter. So you have to mention only important points for this cover letter, and one more important time, why you are eligible for this job role, and what you are going to make, what changes you are going to make in that particular company or research organization. So all these important points you have to mention it only for a paragraph, that it should be only 1 page, or you can say less than 1 page, not more than that. Okay, so it is ultimately going to complement your CV. Suppose your CV is up to mark, and if one candidate has sent cover letter along with CV and you have not sent, so ultimately positive point will be for that friend, right? Your friend will be in a positive positive side. Why? Because he or she has sent cover letter. So make this into a habit that you are always sending cover letter along with your CV. So always you need to list all the or mention all the strength and an explanation why you have joined this organization. So all these points you need to mention in your cover letter. So you can just say CV is a detailed version of your cover letter, or you can say either way that cover letter is a gist of your CV, right? So in this way you have to mention all these things. So what we have seen, you have to check and take care of the grammatical and spelling mistake. You have to check about the incorrect date if you are writing anything. You need to check about alignments and formatting. If you are overloading your resume with information, you have to check the chronological orders. It should always with most recent. You need to check about the contact detail, your job roles. Be careful while you are mentioning any of the interest and hobbies, and that hobby should only be yours. Employment gaps, cover letter. So always you need to send a cover letter along with your resume. So this is all about the point that you need to take care while you are applying for a job, and this is why your CV gets rejected. So here we have discussed top 10 reasons and top 10 points. So I'm sure you got benefited from this video, and if you were making any of the mistake, if you are not looking into all these points, so I'm sure that you will look into it and you will update your CV accordingly. So thank you everyone for your time and patience. Meet you in the next video. Till then, bye bye, take care, keep learning.